Hey everyone, imagine for a second that you own a massive network of underground pipes that stretches for thousands of miles. For decades, you've assumed these pipes would stay there forever, carrying gas and earning you steady fees. But then the rules of the game change. Suddenly, there's a deadline, 2045, and by then, those pipes might have to be empty, sealed off, or even dug up entirely. Who pays for that massive cleanup? Well, that's exactly what's happening right now with the German gas grid. So, grab a coffee and let's talk about how billions of euros are being shuffled around to prepare for the end of the natural gas era. To understand why this is a big deal, we have to look at a concept called the assumption of eternity, or Ewigkeitsvermutung. For a long time, gas network operators didn't really worry about the cost of digging up their pipes because they assumed the network would just exist forever. But with Germany's goal to be climate neutral by 2045, that forever just got a very real expiration date. Because of this shift, the Energy Committee of the IDW basically said, hey, we can't pretend these pipes are staying forever anymore. This means companies now have to create provisions on their balance sheets for two things: decommissioning and dismantling. Decommissioning is when you shut the pipe down and make it safe, while dismantling is the actual physical removal of the infrastructure. Now, here is where it gets interesting for our wallets. These costs are eventually passed down to us through our gas network fees. The Federal Network Agency, or BNetzA, recently released a key points paper called BRÜCKEN to figure out how to handle this without causing a massive fee jump for consumers. They've decided that starting in 2028, which is the beginning of the fifth regulatory period, these costs will be treated as KA-new. That's a fancy acronym for costs that aren't subject to the usual efficiency comparisons. Essentially, the BNetzA recognizes that every region is different. One city might have a municipal heat plan that shuts down gas in 2035, while another waits until 2045. Because it's so varied and volatile, they can't just use a one-size-fits-all efficiency benchmark. But wait, there's a catch. The BNetzA doesn't want network operators to just stash away as much money as possible at the consumer's expense. They've proposed an incentive instrument. If a company builds up a huge provision and then it turns out the actual costs were much lower, they don't just get to keep the change. Instead, the BNetzA is consulting on a 10% penalty on those overcalculated amounts. This is meant to keep the companies honest and prevent them from taking too much liquidity away from today's gas users. Another cool detail in the sources is the unavoidable part of dismantling. A new law, paragraph 48b ENWG, is being drafted to say that if a pipe is safely decommissioned, the property owner might just have to let it stay in the ground rather than forcing the company to dig it up. If it's durable to stay there, the dismantling isn't unavoidable, and therefore you don't need to build a provision for it. So, to recap, the forever assumption is dead. Companies are now starting to save up for the big 2045 shutdown. The BNetzA is stepping in with the BRÜCKEN framework to make sure the costs are handled fairly, starting with the 2025 base year, while also adding a 10% accuracy penalty to stop companies from overcharging us today. It's a massive financial balancing act, trying to fund the future cleanup of an entire national infrastructure while people are still using it. If you found this dive into the boring but expensive world of utility regulation interesting, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. What do you think? Should the pipes stay in the ground or should we pay to have every last one removed? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.